Hi everyone, Pastor Wagner again. Welcome to my weekly video blog. This morning and this week I want to look at whether or not the U.S. should bomb Syria. And if you've been paying any attention in the news, this has been in it a lot. The Assad regime, who is the leader of Syria, supposedly, allegedly, has gassed his own people with sarin gas, is the claim, and killed hundreds of them, or possibly up to 1,500 from what I've heard. And our government is alleging that it was Assad that did it, but there has been a lot of evidence contrary. If you look in, especially in the alternative media, the rebels in Syria have been caught with 2 kilograms of sarin gas. Ben Swan reported on that, and others. And if you just look at who benefited from this, I think we all would do well to question it. If Assad gassed his own people, whenever President Obama said that this is the line in the sand, this is the red line that if he crosses we're going to intervene militarily, why would he do that? Why would he do that but just days prior to, or right around the same time that UN weapons inspectors were coming to investigate gas used in the weeks prior to that? Why would he do that? It would make no sense. He would incur the wrath of the international community, quote unquote, and it would just be of no benefit to him whatsoever. But on the other hand, if it was the rebels that did it, then it would be of great benefit to them, because then it would be blamed on Assad, and then we or whoever else could come to their rescue and provide them weapons and support and all that kind of thing. And we could be, as Dennis Kucinich said, the Al-Qaeda's Air Force. Because Al-Qaeda is is part of the group, part of the rebels in Syria that are fighting the Syrian government. So we have the Syrian government, which is our enemy, and Al-Qaeda, which is our enemy, supposedly. They're fighting each other. Why in the world would we get involved? So what I want to do is just look at just look at some biblical things here, and I'm not going to make accusations of things that I can't prove, but I'm just going to ask some questions and make statements based on things that are facts. Before going to war, the cost should always be counted. What is the war with Syria going to cost us? I mean, what's it going to cost us militarily, financially? What's it going to cost us in lives? What's it going to end up accomplishing? I mean, do we have any purpose in mind? President Obama says we're going to shoot in some cruise missiles and we're going to punish the Assad regime for killing their own people with gas. So the Assad regime allegedly kills their own people with gas, so we're going to go kill more of their own people just to punish them, to say that they better not use gas again. And furthermore, there have been 100,000 people reportedly killed in the Syrian civil war in the last couple years or so. What makes these few hundred that have been killed in this gas attack any more important and precious than the other 100,000 that were killed by conventional means? Why is this line in the sand that Assad has, if he has indeed killed people with gas, why is that some line in the sand where we would get involved? They have not attacked us, and we have no business being involved in that. Will it end if we just lob in a few cruise missiles? Is that going to end this whole dispute? Is that going to end the civil war? Obviously not. Is it going to end our involvement in it? No, it's just going to be the beginning, I'm certain. Are we prepared for a full-scale World War III? Because, as soon as we announced we were going to do that, Russia backs Syria. Iran has a mutual defense pact with Syria. Iran says they will bomb Israel if we bomb Syria. And it could easily escalate into a World War III situation. I don't see where that would be a big stretch. That's what happened in World War I, when countries in Europe had mutual defense agreements and one got attacked, some spark happens, and then the whole entire continent is in a war. And that could easily happen in the Middle East. I don't think it's a big stretch of the imagination. So why in the world would we risk something like that? We should just take the advice of Jesus. Jesus said in Luke 14:31, "Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first, and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? We better have some introspection here and take some counsel and consult whether we really want to get involved in this war or not. I mean, it's none of our business, and we shouldn't. I mean, morally, we should not be involved in it. We have not been attacked. They have not attacked us or even threatened to attack us. But why? I mean, we really ought to count the cost. Are we really willing to get involved in a major war in something that's not our business? War should always be made with good advice. Proverbs 20:18 says, "Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war." War ought to be made with good advice. I'll just ask you, is President Obama, does he have good advice when we're going to attack a country that has not attacked us? We're going to lob in cruise missiles and kill people in a country that have already experienced mass death over there and destruction? Is that good advice? It says in Proverbs 24 and verse 6, "For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety." Maybe President Obama should get more counselors. Maybe he should get some people that are not of the neocon persuasion. Maybe he should get some more counselors, and maybe it would be a safer position before we go launching into yet another war. We should not be quick to fight, lest we end up with egg on our faces again. Do you remember Iraq? Remember that? Remember Afghanistan? We've been in there for over a decade in Afghanistan. We were in Iraq for about 8 years, if I remember right. We went in there under lies. I mean, that was clearly established. I mean, it's a proven fact. They said there's weapons of mass destruction. It was lies. We went forth to hastily to fight, and we ended up looking like fools, and we ended up losing dearly. Proverbs 25 and verse 8 says, "Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame." So we run in there hastily before the verdict is even in. The verdict is not even in as to whether it was Assad that used this gas or not. I mean, that verdict is not in. And we were running in there. I mean, we were ready to bomb right away before we even knew. And then they come out and they say that they are certain it was the Assad regime. But let me just ask a question. These are the same types of people that were certain there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. These are the same types of people that have been known to lie before. I'm not saying they're lying now, but they have been known to lie before. Our government has got us into wars before based on lies. So I just ask you, is it a good idea to go in hastily to strive without knowledge? Is that a good idea? We'll probably end up being put to shame by our neighbors again. We should not be bombing and murdering people who have done us no harm. That's just a very basic Christian principle. You don't kill people who have not harmed you. Okay, that works individually, it works collectively. We don't murder people who haven't harmed us. The old golden rule would come into play here. Proverbs 3 and verse 30 says, "Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm." Has Assad done us any harm? Has the Syrian government or the Syrian people, have they done us any harm? Why would we go in there and strive with them? Why would we murder people in Syria with cruise missiles and risk getting into a full-scale war when they've done us no harm? Why would we do that? We should stay out of other people's wars and other people's problems. We have, in case you didn't know, we have enough of our own problems here. We don't need to be involved in another war. We've got plenty of our own. Proverbs 26 and verse 17 says, "He that passeth by and meddleth with strife belonging not to him is like one that taketh a dog by the ears." You can imagine. Go up to a Rottweiler and grab him by both ears and see what happens. You're going to get bitten. You are going to end up in a bad way. And that's exactly what happens when you meddle with strife not belonging to you. There's strife going on. Two of our enemies are fighting each other in Syria. There's strife. We go in there and start meddling around, and we're going to get bitten. It will turn out badly, just as surely as if you grabbed a dog by the ears. Proverbs 20 and verse 3 says, "It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling." Why do we have to be the fools of the world, meddling in things that are none of our business, meddling in other people's strife? Why do we have to be the fools? Why can't we ever learn from our mistakes? 1 Peter 4 and verse 15 says, "But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters." I know this is speaking in a church context. I know Peter's writing to a church here, but you can apply this to life in general. Don't you be caught as a murderer, a thief, evildoer, or a busybody in other men's matters. You see how murderers and busybodies are lumped right in there together? Yeah, we end up being a busybody. We end up getting involved in something that's none of our business, and we're going to end up murdering people because of that. Don't suffer as a murderer or as a busybody. We don't even know who used the chemical weapons in Syria. Therefore, we should not be making a hasty decision to go to war without knowledge. We don't even know. The verdict is not in. We're just going out there and just assuming, and they're saying that they know. Do you really believe what our government says? I'm just asking a question. Do you believe the same types of people that led us into Iraq, saying there were weapons of mass destruction there, led us into a war which cost billions, if not trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, and hundreds of thousands of Iraqi and Afghani lives? Do you really believe such people that say that they're certain it was the Assad regime, which it's counterintuitive to even believe that it was the Assad regime? The Assad regime can't be that stupid, in my opinion. But to run in there hastily without knowledge is sin. It says in Proverbs 19 and verse 2, also that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good, and he that hasteth with his feet sinneth. We are right now without knowledge, and we're going to run in there, haste with our feet, and we're going to end up sinning. And it's going to cost us dearly, or it could, let me put it that way, it could cost us dearly. Our government have proven themselves to be liars in the past. I hate to say it, but they have. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, they've proven themselves. Our government has. Tonkin, Gulf of Tonkin Bay, Vietnam, that came out. That was lies, got us into the Vietnam War. There have been other examples. Our government is known to lie to get ourselves in war. Our government loves war, in case you haven't noticed. The Pentagon contractors, all the military-industrial complex, they love war. They love death. They love to spread the destruction. It makes them a lot of money. Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex way back when. He was a high-ranking general. He knew what he was talking about. It says in Proverbs 29 and verse 12, if a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. Let me just ask you, do you think that the servants of the Bush administration were wicked if George Bush was hearkening to lies? What do you suppose about Barack Obama? What do you suppose his servants might be telling him? I'm just asking a question, not accusing anybody. But yeah, just think about that. The thing that hath been, it tells us in Ecclesiastes 9, is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Do you really think our government has turned over a new leaf, and they're going to start telling us the truth and getting us into wars for righteous causes? Just asking a question. Do you really think there's some new thing under the sun? I kind of doubt it. It is wicked to lie in order to murder people and to enrich oneself. Not saying that's what we're doing this time around, but just look at this proverb and tell me what you think. Proverbs 21 and verse 6 says, the getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. Do you suppose that there might be some treasure, I don't know, maybe underneath the ground over there in the Middle East that maybe people have lied in order to get in the past, and it's a vanity tossed to and fro of them that's seeking death? Do you maybe think that there might be some treasure to get over there? Just asking the question. Not making any accusations here, just asking the question. Ezekiel 22 and verse 9 says, in thee are men that carry tales to shed blood. Men that carry tales to shed blood. Boy, that happened in 2003, didn't it? 2002. Men carried tales in order to go over and topple a regime, which ended up ending in the murder of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. Men carrying tales to shed blood. Do we really think there's anything new under the sun? Might be something we would do well to consider. Have our leaders changed their crooked, lying nature? I mean, we know they've lied to us in the past. That's a fact. Have they changed their crooked, lying nature? I'm just asking a question. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 15 says, that which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. That which is, you've heard the old phrase, crooked as a politician. That which is crooked cannot be made straight. Do you really think they have changed their nature? Just a question. Just a question. In Jeremiah 13 and verse 23 says, can the Ethiopian change his skin and the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to doing evil. Do you think the military-industrial complex, which is accustomed to going over and taking over countries and bombing and decimating them, do you really think that they've changed their ways? Just a question. Do you really think that they can change their nature, that are accustomed to doing evil? We should learn from history. It says in Ecclesiastes 3:15, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. God requires us to learn from the past. It has been said that they that will not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Are we going to do the same stupid thing again? Are we going to attack a country that didn't attack us, and it possibly end up being another quagmire, which could potentially cost us billions more dollars, thousands more lives and untold time and resources. And I mean, are we really gonna do it again? Are we gonna repeat the mistakes of the past? And it's not just Obama. I'm not an Obama basher. It's the whole system. His predecessor, George Bush, was the same way. George Bush really started the doctrine of preemptive war. And President Obama, though he decried it whenever he was running for office and said that the president cannot unilaterally launch military action without approval from Congress and without being attacked, and Joe Biden said the same thing, and now they're following in the same footsteps, probably being pulled by the same strings, I imagine. It says in Proverbs 28 and verse 2, for the transgression of a land, many are the princes thereof. It's not just one prince. It's not just President Obama. It's many presidents. Many presidents for many decades have been leading us down this path of destruction. That the transgression of our land is due to many of them. But by a man of understanding and knowledge, the state thereof shall be prolonged. If we did get a man of understanding and knowledge, we might prolong this state. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Some stupid people just never learn. I mean, no matter how many times they repeat the same mistakes and are punished severely for it, they never learn. Let's not be some of them. Let's learn from our mistakes in the past. Let's learn from Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Let's learn from those mistakes. We toppled a regime in Libya and Al-Qaeda took over, and then our ambassador gets killed. Let's learn from these mistakes. We toppled Saddam and Al-Qaeda is now in Iraq, which wasn't in Iraq before. Let's learn from our mistakes. It says in Proverbs 27 and verse 22, though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar among wheat with a pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. You know what a mortar and a pestle is? A mortar is a bowl, and a pestle is a little rod in there, a little thing that grinds up the wheat into powder. I mean, you can take a fool, you can put him in a mortar and just grind him to powder over and over again, and his foolishness will not depart from him. It doesn't matter how hard you beat him, his foolishness won't depart from him. Let's not be like that. Let's not get ground up in that mortar again. Let's learn from our mistakes. And lastly, thank God for alternative media. Thank God. Spread the word. If you agree with this video, share this video. Go contact your congressman. Obama's forced now. He's been forced to go to Congress because the British Parliament has said that they will not go to war. NATO will not go. Russia and China are against it. Virtually the whole world and the majority of the American public are against it, and the majority of the American public are forcing the president to go to Congress. So they're going to go to Congress. Put pressure on Congress. They're not going to do the right thing on their own, more than likely. They normally don't. They're not going to. They never have. They can't change their ways. But we need to put pressure on them. It says in Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 17, the words of the wise are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. You know, the cries of them that ruleth are cried out in the mainstream media among all the fools. But you know what? The words of the wise are being heard in quiet more than them. The alternative media is getting information out and people's minds are being changed. And this is just my little part to try to get some information out, to get an alternative view out there. And I would encourage you to share this video and tell other people, talk to people about it. You can see that these are biblical principles of staying out of problems that don't involve ourselves. And I'll leave you with this in Ecclesiastes 9:18. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good. One sinner, one presidential sinner could destroy much good by launching a missile attack that will murder people in a country far away from here that never attacked us, never threatened us. Wisdom is a lot better than weapons of war. If we can instill wisdom in the Congress, in the president, force it upon them to make good decisions, well, that would be a lot better than weapons of war. But on the other hand, if we go at this unilaterally, one sinner could destroy much good, and there could be dire consequences for it. And it could end up in who knows what, untold loss of life and money and everything else. And I'm just trying to do my part to get the word out, and I encourage you to do the same. And I'll see you again next week, Lord willing, in another video blog. Next week, hopefully it'll be shorter and maybe of a lighter nature. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you then.